I couldn't get.
Hi, Luke. Do you mind testing your audio for us, please?
No problem. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear. Thank you.
Hey, oh, she could.
Hey, Scott, do you mind testing your microphone, please?
Amazing.
We have.
No go. Nothing.
James, we go to. Do we have anybody that has mentioned anything on public input or anything at this point? We have two? Okay.
Scott, your audio is not working, by the way. I'm not sure if you're making a presentation tonight or not, but yeah, nothing's coming through.
That one that came in earlier, and then I put the other one on the agenda.
Meeting to order for August 3rd. Roll call, please.
Eversol.
Here.
Agni. Nemitz. Here. Wrestler. Booth. Colcamp.
Here.
Riddle.
Everybody, please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Proclamation, recognition, and presentations.
Yes, sir. We were contacted by Hospice of Southern Illinois with a message from Kim Oplett. Dear Mayor Hutchinson, Hospice of Southern Illinois wants to wish you a very Merry Christmas in July. As your community partner, we want you to know we are still here caring and supporting our patients and their loved ones with any end-of-life needs. Thank you for everything you carry for us. We are in this together.
Wow.
And Doug, what was the name?
Kim Oplet, O-P-L-E-T.
Well, let's see what they sent. A very nice card wishing you a Merry Christmas in July as your community partner. We want you to know we are still here caring for parents and their families with any end-of-life needs. Stay well. And a very nice Hospice of Southern Illinois polo. So thank you very much, and thank you for everything Hospice of Southern Illinois does for the community. All right, public input. Who do we have on or ready to go?
Yeah, Natalie's remote.
Awesome. Natalie, are you there?
I give her a second to switch.
Sure.
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Are you ready for me to go ahead or?
Yes, I am, or we are.
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to, I'm sure you know, I wanted to comment on the special use permit that's being considered today with respect to Sunset Overlook. One thing that I wanted to make sure that the council kept in mind is with respect to the noise that would be emanating from the building. I think it was acknowledged a couple weeks ago whenever this was discussed in front of the city council that there definitely was going to be noise and it was going to be unavoidable with respect to, you know, when the doors open and things like that. And I think that Mr. Donachie even said that, you know, that was going to be just something that can't be controlled. And he, you know, just didn't have the staff to police this issue. He just couldn't do it. So I think, you know, if we think about that, that's really all the more reason not to allow this special use permit. It's just asking for trouble. The last measure the city implemented was having Sunset Overlook move to the front of the building at 9:30 p.m. And, you know, my impression, at least from the discussion that was had at that meeting, was that the idea was that the building would be kind of a buffer for the noise and things like that. So in response, Sunset Overlook went to Judge Gomrick, who's the judge providing over the civil proceedings in this case, and has asked the judge to lift the permanent injunction that she had imposed several months ago before the change in the language of the ordinance. And Sunset Overlook has actually now asked the judge to interpret the change as allowing them to be in front of the entire property, which would include, as you all are, I'm sure, aware, there is it's kind of a long property that has the building kind of on one end, and then there's a parking lot in the area in front of that as well. So now Sunset Overlook is trying to interpret the language as allowing them to be in front of the entire property and not just in front of the building, you know, so including in front of the parking areas that are nowhere near a building of any kind. And that's with full knowledge of what the purpose of that latest measure was. So they took the language that Mr. Donachie drafted after your discussion, and they're trying to turn it into something completely divorced from the reality of that discussion. And, you know, I think it's just one more example of the, you know, whole give an inch, take a mile. So we ask you as city council members, I would ask you to please review whatever language goes into any special use permit that is granted, if any, just to make sure it's not something that can be bastardized later into something that wasn't intended. The bottom line is that the city's going to have to decide if the permit is going to be worth the headaches that are going to accompany it. And I think that, you know, while Mr. Lytle, the Sunset Overlook's attorney, is appalled at, the thought that I'm even saying, that the city is going to have to consider things like that, I'm appalled that his clients are continuing to twist what the city's doing into something that it's not, and trying to chill the rights of citizens to stand up for themselves, and in the face of what's clearly not intended by the city in the discussions that were had before. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was my impression, was that was put in place so that the city so that the neighboring property owners would have a buffer between themselves and the noise that was coming from, turned into something completely having nothing to do with a buffer at all. So I'm very concerned that the language that would be used in this particular instance would be twisted as well. And I'm asking that you all, if you do decide to grant any sort of special use permit, that you're very careful in the way that it's worded, just so that sort of thing can't happen in the future. Because I understand what the intent was. I think we all do. It's just that the language that's used is what they're going to be arguing in front of the court. So that's what I would ask, and I would ask for the council to, again, just think about the law, think about what's right. It's admittedly hard to do. It's, in this case, it may not be the most popular decision, but I would ask that the city council think about what's right and not necessarily what's most popular.
All righty. Well, thank you very much. And next, I believe we have Carol Ann Wade.
All right, they're joining now.
Hi, this is Carol. I didn't realize I was going to be on, but I'm just calling. No, I'm just actually wanting to be here to hear about, I think Chris Smith was going to talk about a project at Lakefield Place. And so I was just trying to hear and listen in on that discussion. So I really don't have anything prepared to say.
All right. Thank you very much, Carol.
Sure.
All right. Anything else? Well, under not my announcements, we had a IML meeting last week. And although we are all remote and all of the cities are basically going through the same thing that we're going through across the state, I will say that the IML has been very busy communicating with the lawmakers and continuing to do an outstanding job to watch out for unfunded mandates. And those unfunded mandates that do come, they're still doing a great job of getting clarification and doing everything we can in our power to let the legislators know, how the city feels about those things. And all in all, under these circumstances, they're still working hard and doing a great job. So wanted to pass that on. I believe you all received the letter from EMA Director Hefkin, and I am sad to say, but I guess it's a new chapter and kind of a bittersweet that he is resigning as EMA Director, but is looking at running for mayor. So EMA Director Hefkin, thank you very much. I believe it's been about 7 years and you've done some outstanding things in the city under your direction as EMA Director. So thank you so very much. We will be recognizing that at the council meeting on August 17th. So I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add or.
Been a fun ride, been interesting, but it's been a fun ride.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much. And we've also, and I guess we're going to be discussing further under, where am I at? Thank you so much. Item number 2 under new business, we will be discussing that position further. And also with that in news, as Mr. Hefkin said, it's been a fun ride, and I've been doing this for about 20 years, public service. I was on the planning commission, an alderman, and mayor. It's bittersweet for me because I am too looking at a new chapter in my life as far as my family, my business, and kind of moving on. But it has been a great ride. I look at the leadership that I had some heavy shoes to fill with Lester Schneider. And I've seen what we've done. And I say we, over the last 15 years. We've worked with some great elected officials, staff, appointed officials. We have an outstanding group of elected officials sitting up here. And I couldn't ask for better, but I've made a decision that I will not be running for reelection. I look forward to serving the rest of my term, and I will continue to do the best I can and work with all of you. So thank you so much, all the citizens, all the elected officials, department heads, for all your support over the years. And with that, that is my comments and announcements. Do we have any announcements from the alderman? Alderman Nemitz.
Just one thing, Mayor, the Monroe County Fair Remembrance Book for the Republic Times 2020, you submitted on behalf of the city, and I just want to tell you that I thought what you put in there was excellent, and I think it really reflected the feelings of many, many people. And I appreciate you speaking on the behalf of all of us. Thank you very much. Very well done.
Thank you.
Page 30 of the Fair Remembrance Book, if you haven't seen it yet, it was in the Republic Times newspaper. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Any other alderman comments? Department directors? Chris?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Um,
Loud and clear. As Mrs. Wade had said, the Lakeville Homeowners Association has approached me and wanted to ask to see if the city would be willing to sponsor them in an application. They want to apply for an IEPA Green Infrastructure Grant to try to help mitigate some erosion and storm sewer issues they're having through their subdivision along the tributary to Palmer Creek. Normally, Heartland's Conservancy or somebody like that would partner with them, but they're also applying for a grant this year, and they felt it would be a conflict. So they've asked if we would do that. The grant's like a 75-25 grant in which they would take care of the 25. We would just basically be the sponsor and have to fill out a little bit of paperwork and a little bit of grant administration, but it shouldn't have any financial impact to us. The grant is due August 21st. So I didn't know if anybody had any concerns, questions. I'll try to see if we'll put together a memorandum of understanding if you guys are okay with it, and maybe try to prevent a draft one here in the next meeting. I don't know if you have any thoughts or concerns.
Already, any thoughts, questions, comments? And obviously, we're always here to, Alderman Nemitz?
Just ask if we've done this in the past, Chris, have you been involved in it? And
Nope.
then are we prepared to do it again in the future for other requests?
That's a policy decision. I mean, as a local agency, you can do it for private entities. A lot of times, like say Heartland Conservancy would do something like this, but they've already hired a consultant to put together the bulk of the grant.
Okay.
Ours is mostly just the GATA, the Grant Accountability and Transparency Act paperwork, along with we would have, to make sure that it gets bid properly, and then we have do some paperwork for the certification of completion. And while it's under construction, we have to do our quarterly reports like we do with all of our other projects that we have going on anyhow, but most of those reporting is just the engineering as it's being designed on a quarterly report, which has been expended by the local agency, or in this case, the homeowners association. And then when there's construction, we'd have to fill in when the construction payments remain. So, I'll have more information hopefully later this week, but it's only got one more shot at this, which is the following Monday, I guess, to make sure everybody's okay with it. Like I said, it's due the 21st.
Okay. And
Alderman Nemeth, you bring up a great point. I know that we do kind of a similar thing when we do some of the bonds for TIF districts and things of this nature, to where we basically sponsor and put the city's name forward, but we have no financial input or impact whatsoever, and that they're on the hook for any monies, financial, et cetera. And with those, if there's legal and things of this nature, it's paid out of the TIF funds, but we still have staff money and stuff that isn't reimbursed. So we do kind of partner with and have in the past. On this one, the only thing I would make sure that the memorandum of understanding includes is just unforeseen cost, unforeseen outside of, your hours or estimated services, anything like that that comes up unforeseen. I think they should be aware that we are going to ask to be reimbursed, especially if it needs to be anything outside of, your work, because otherwise it would just be your time that we're donating on behalf. And I think, and stuff like this, it's great for the community, and if others pursue it.
It's very minimal. I mean, some of the 3 pages or 3 documents we have to submit in, we've already done for our other grants, so it's not like we're spending a lot of time. We're just filling in names.
Perfect.
Okay.
Addresses,
That
numbers.
answers it. Thank you.
All
very
righty,
much.
thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, so you'll put together some paperwork and bring that back to us. Thank you. Yes,
I just wanted to update the council on some staffing changes here at City Hall. At the front counter, we have Mary Hawkins. She started a few weeks ago in customer service, replacing Nancy, who had retired. This past week, Jenny Kajawa joined us. She's going to be taking on accounts payable and utility billing. She's going to replace Pam Friedrich, who moved on to another opportunity. And then finally, tomorrow in community development, we have Connie Manus starting. She's going to be replacing Jessica Unger as the community development assistant. Next, I wanted to update the council on some correspondence that we had received from the Waterloo German Band addressed to Sue Spargo. She wanted to thank the city of Columbia for offering the virtual concerts rather than canceling. It was certainly different, but the group certainly had fun participating. We also want to thank Life Community Church for offering their facilities to host the virtual music at Metter. And I absolutely want to thank Sue Spargo for her work in organizing that. And I know James, he played a big part in the tech side of that as well, for making sure that we're still able to have at least some community events in these trying times.
all right. Yes, thank you to all. All right. Any other department director reports? Consent agenda. I know, Wes, we're going to remove number 2, the closed session. Some people had a problem opening up the file. So other than that, you're on.
So, 4 items in. Motion to approve minutes of the July 20th, 2020 regular city council meeting. Motion to approve payment of vouchers for the period of July 17, 2020 through July 29, 2020 totaling $170,474.79. Motion to approve improvements to athletic fields to be completed by the Columbia Athletic Association. And a motion to extend temporary outdoor seating regulations to the duration of phase 4 of the Restore Illinois plan.
All right. Any questions, comments, or anybody wish to have anything removed? With none, entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as modified. Motion by Alderman Nemeth, second by Alderman Riddle. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
Eversol.
Yes.
Agni. Nemeth.
Yes.
Wrestler.
Yes.
Hoop. Ocamp.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
And Riddle. Thank you.
All righty, under unfinished business, we have ordinance 3529, approving a special use permit to allow ancillary entertainment on property zone C1 Neighborhood Business District located at 11604 Bluff Road. Does anybody have any questions or any concerns that they'd like Scott to chime in on? I think we've kind of heard all this. All right, entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 3529 as presented. Motion by Riddle, second by Eversol. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
Eversol.
Yes.
Agni.
Yes.
Nemeth.
Yes.
Wrestler.
Yes.
Hoop. Yes. Ocamp.
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
and Riddle. Yes, thank you.
All right, under new business, we have ordinance 3530, approving a right-of-way license agreement with Delta Communication LLC, DBA Clearwave Communications. Doug, you have anything to expand on that, or?
Certainly, just to kind of reiterate, Clearwave is a Southern Illinois provider of fiber optic broadband service. They're actually expanding currently throughout several southwestern Illinois municipalities. They're looking at an installation in Columbia that will traverse the Route 3 Admiral Parkway corridor with some aspects on Old Route 3. As discussed in the packet, we initially sought to enter into a franchise agreement with Clearwave. However, there was some discussion on that, and it was confirmed by City Attorney Terry Bruckert that Clearwave is exempt from such requirements. We worked then to negotiate a right-of-way license agreement, which was contemplated in earlier ordinances by the city with Clearwave that was attached. It should be noted, and I want to be clear, that if they expand their offerings beyond the telecommunications at retail, as clearly defined by state statute, it would trigger franchise fee requirements and entering into a franchise agreement with Clearwave. But right now, this is about the limit of our ability.
All righty, so entertain a motion to approve, or unless any questions, comments, Alderman Nemitz?
Yes, I do have, we talked about an audit in there. It talked about, if I read it correctly, and I'm sorry, I didn't pull the page right up again to look at it, I lost it. But it talked about annually.
Can you grab the mic when you're speaking? I'm sorry.
It talked about annually checking to make sure about, they stay within the agreement.
Yes,
This audit will be done by us. How easy will it be to keep track of this? And how expensive is it going to be to keep track of this on the part of the city?
It would likely be something that we would use our third-party auditor, Azavar. They're working on auditing our other franchise agreements. It would likely be added to that scope of work with Azavar.
And I know this is probably not a very pertinent question in a way, but they don't go down state right away. They have to go through city.
The majority of their work is actually going to be on IDOT right of way, but it will be within the corporate limits of the city.
Okay, it was hard to, I looked at all the pages. I looked at all the pages that they had with regard to putting the line in, but I was wondering how much they tried to adhere to state right of way versus getting into city.
And the city engineer can correct me if I'm wrong, but looking at the alignments, I believe a majority of their installation is on IDOT right of way.
All right,
Thank you.
good. Any other questions? Alderman Ressler?
Chris, along the same line for that installation of that, is the installation of that stuff, is that an open trench type thing or is it tunnel boring? One. Thanks.
Any other questions, comments? With none, entertain a motion to approve ordinance 3530 as presented. Motion by Eversauce, second by Martins. Roll call.
Eversol.
Yes.
Agnew.
Yes.
Nemitz.
Yes.
Ressler.
Yes.
Hoop. Ocamp.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Riddle. Yes. Thank you.
All right. So this is for discussion on the Columbia Emergency Management Agency. I think everybody received, Chief, you had sent out a email, and at the end of the email, there was mention of kind of changing the model of how we do it now to having a police presence and having, that type of a department head for, or the director for the Emergency Management Agency. I had spoke with the city of Fairview Heights with Mayor Kepke, who they have been following this for about 5 years now, that same model. And he said it has worked very well for the city of Fairview Heights. They too went from just having an appointed kind of citizen who would go through the training and be the EMA director to more of using somebody within the police department that also has to go through the similar training anyway to be the EMA director, but they also use as a deputy director a person from Public Works, because in a lot of emergency situations, you're bringing in Public Works to help with, you know, catastrophes as far as sandbags and equipment and things of this nature. So with that being said, I don't know if you have anything to add, Chief, or?
The only thing that I would say, Mayor, and the Fairview Heights model is like what I thought was a good one, in that if you remember the tornadoes a few years ago, it worked very well for them when Chris Locke was deputy chief, and then just working, mitigating that whole situation. And so, and that's where just talking to all of them and how well it worked, that's why I thought that would be a good model for us.
Perfect. And Mayor Kepke he said it's worked very well for them, and I would agree that it will, you know, serve us well in the future. So we'll have paperwork drawn up and be ready to go, but we are looking at Captain Don John to be named director and Doug Steinmetz appointed as deputy director. And so we'll have that drawn up unless anybody has any questions, concerns, comments. And so, you know, we've also talked to Chris, and we've had other discussions, and Doug too has a emergency management background through his working with the, is it Army Reserves, or yeah, with the
Yes.
U.S. Army Reserves. So he too has a emergency management background. So, all right. Next is the agreement with Curry and Associates for preliminary engineering, Bluffside and Columbia Quarry Water Main Extension Project. Chris?
I know over the years, we've talked about starting to try to get water out that way. We think we're at a position now, we want to go ahead and start doing some of the engineering and corridors, whether we need easements, whatever, to kind of get them in a shovel-ready type position. I don't know how we're going to implement them yet, but with the state's going to have, you know, several rounds of grant fundings over the next 5 years, and you kind of get more looked at if you're in a more shovel-ready position. So I think it's prudent to take this opportunity to go ahead and get some of these phases kind of ready to go, per se. And we may get them, we may not, we may do it ourselves, but I think we just need to move forward.
All right, any questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve the agreement with Curry and Associates, Inc. Motion by Eversauce, second by Martins. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
Eversol.
Yes.
Agni. Nemitz.
Yes.
Wrestler. Hook. Hocamp.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
And Riddle. Yes. Thank you.
All right, next we have a motion to approve an agreement with Tubino, Wade and Merchant for preliminary engineering for the Carl Street Bridge Replacement Project.
Correct. This includes
Kind of.
design, this includes the geotechnical work, and this includes the surveying done by Prairie Engineers here in town.
All righty. Any questions, comments on that? I do want to add just real quick, I thought it was great. I had asked, you know, we really haven't used TWM in the past. Why? They actually got together, kind of went through a process. They each independently looked at the submittals and kind of scored them, and they came out on top. So I thought that was an excellent way to look at, you know, different projects. I know, Chris, a lot of times it's just kind of a no-brainer and you go with who makes sense, but every now and then that process that you put together was outstanding. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and actually on our projects that have, when we use federal money for engineering, that's over 25,000, we have to do it that way. It's required in order
See,
to
now I was
the
giving you
federal money.
all this credit. You didn't say you had to. I mean, you did a great job. Come
I
on.
was just kidding.
Yes, he did steal the candy.
Just wanted to see if nobody's doing it.
Entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Eversauce, second by who? Roll call.
Eversol.
Yes.
Agni.
Yes.
Nemitz.
Yes.
Wrestler.
Yes.
Hook. Hocamp.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
And Riddle. Yes.
All right, I do not believe we have anything for closed session. Any other announcements? All right, want to apologize for getting a little choked up, but after 20-some years, you get a little bit passionate, so.
I do have a question.
Alderman Eversole?
Are we still going to have the citywide yard sale?
I
Yes,
believe
that
so.
is
There was a
scheduled.
new date set, and I don't remember. I
Yes,
know I
1 minute
saw
down
what the new
before
date. I'm sorry? Of this month? So yes, we are, and it's the 14th and 15th of this month. All right. And so once again, yeah, it's not today. We still got quite a few months ahead of us and a lot of good things to come. So Once again, thank you all for everything. Any other announcements? Motion to adjourn. Motion by Alderman Agni, second by Alderman Riddle. Roll call.
Eversol.
Yes.
Agni. Nemitz.
Yes.
Dressler.
Yes.
Foote. Fullcamp.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Riddle.